For those who not familiar with you, how did you get started in bodybuilding?
So it goes back a long ways. My first, just to kind of skip forward a little bit, my first competition, it wasn't with the IFBB. It was about 1999, I believe, was my first show. I had been training for a few years before that, so I probably about 5 years, and I was a little bit bored in the gym. Felt like I needed to push myself a little bit more. I needed a goal, and I decided to compete with a new. At the time, they were a new federation. I think it was WNSO, and they're not around anymore. They didn't last too long, but it was more like a fit model division, and it was great. Like I didn't look anything obviously like I do now, but it was a great way just to get introduced to the whole competition, tanning, bikini, dieting. And I didn't have a coach for that one, did it myself. Didn't, like I said, didn't know much at the time. There was no internet, YouTube videos to watch and pros really to follow back then for me. So it was a lot of self-learning and just going out there and having fun. And then after that, I did 2 more shows. Again, not with the IFBB. I didn't even really know what the IFBB was at that point, back in like 99, 2000. And I always thought it was like way beyond my level. I thought it was just pros. So it wasn't I didn't even think of, starting with it would be the CPA for me here, Canadian Physique Alliance. And actually back then, I think it was at, I forget what the federation was, but it was even a different federation. So didn't know about them, but did a couple shows and then kind of got busy with life. So I competed probably 2000 and what year would it have been? Because it was right after I had my son. So I had my son in 2001. I did a show, let's say maybe 2002. So about 8 months after I had my son, just to get myself back in shape. And then I did one show after that, and then kind of hung up the shoes to raise the kids. My husband came with 2 young children at the time that I was raising. So I gave it up and then I came back to the scene in 2017 after I had befriended a couple in the gym I was at, and they were just getting their feet wet and competing. And we were chatting, and I said, I used to compete, and, I loved it, and I miss it. And so my girlfriend was like, well, I have a really good coach. Why don't you compete again? And after some thought, I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something for me and try it again. So that's kind of when I started with the IFBB, took it more serious, had a real coach, and it kind of took off from there. And I actually started in women's physique and figure, because I was a little bit bigger and I was looking to put more muscle on, not realizing my body did not want to do that. So that's kind of how it started with the IFBB.
Yeah, you kind of remind me of this other guest that I had. Her name is Jessica Fletcher. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing her name right, but she's a bikini competitor, and she looked like she could be in figure.
Yeah. I had competed at North Americans because for a couple of years in physique and figure, and just because in Canada to go pro, I would have to be competing in the 35 and over, which is considered masters here.
Yeah.
So to get a pro card is almost impossible at my age now. I'm in my 50s, so for me to go up against a 35-year-old is absolutely insane. So the really only way to go pro for me was to go the American way, North Americans. So it was one show a year. I had one shot a year. And like I said, I was doing women's physique and figure. And then I think I placed 5th in figure a couple years back. And I got the pictures back. And I was looking at the top 5, and I was looking at my build and something just clicked in me, and I said, you know what, my body type just kind of looks more bikini to me. My legs are smaller,
Yeah.
and you know, so after some thought, I thought about it for a while and thought, you know what, I'm gonna try bikini. And
Mm.
I thought it would be a lot easier, but the posing was quite hard to master because I was coming from two categories that is more like a hard posing, whereas bikini you're not really flexing anything. So thankfully, I have a really good posing coach here, out of St. Catharines, which is about 20 minutes from me, Mindy O'Brien. And she was my first posing coach back when I was doing physique and figure, and she's been with me posing through my whole journey. So that's been great. But yeah, quite a transition.